Hey there, I'm Jennifer. I'm 32, doing pretty well in the marketing world. But right now, I'm back in my hometown for the hardest reason imaginable. My big brother Andrew's funeral. I can't believe he's really gone. Andrew and I were inseparable growing up. He was my protector, my confidant, my partner in crime. I remember this one time when I was 10 and he was 14. We snuck out to the old abandoned house on the edge of town, armed with nothing but flashlights and our overactive imaginations. "Stay close, Sar," he said, his voice steady even though I was terrified. "I got you." That was Andrew, always looking out for me. But then Karen came along. I tried to like her, really. When Andrew first introduced us, I put on my best smile and said, "Nice to meet you." But there was something about her, a coldness that never thawed. "Oh, so you're the famous little sister," she'd said, her voice sugary sweet, but her eyes cutting. "Andrew talks about you all the time." I could tell right then she saw me as competition. Every family gathering felt like a silent war. She'd make these snide remarks, suggesting I was too attached to Andrew or that it was time to grow up. Once at a barbecue, she'd said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "It's cute how you still cling to Andrew, Jennifer, but don't you think it's time to cut the cord?" I'd wanted to throw my drink at her, but Andrew had given me that look. The one that said, "Let it go, sis." So I did, for him. Now, standing in the funeral home, I see Karen playing the part of the grieving widow flawlessly. She's got everyone fooled but not me. Our eyes meet across the room, and for a split second, her mask slips. There's a flicker of something in her gaze, anger, guilt. I can't quite tell. My parents are here too. Mom's a mess, mascara streaking down her cheeks as she clutches Dad's arm. Dad's trying to be strong, but I can see the pain in his face. They don't know about the tension between Karen and me. I kept it from them, not wanting to stir up any drama. "Jennifer." I hear a familiar voice and turn to see Lisa, my best friend since kindergarten. She wraps me in a tight hug. "I'm so sorry. Honorable, how are you holding up?" "I'm managing," I say, grateful for her support. Lisa's always been my rock, especially when things with Karen got rough. As we talk, I notice Tom, Karen's brother, hovering nearby. He's always had this awkward crush on me, which Karen hated. It was just one more thing that added tension between us. "Hey, Jennifer," Tom says, approaching with that awkwardness he's never quite grown out of. "I'm really sorry about Andrew. He was a great guy." I nod, not trusting myself to speak. The whole situation feels surreal. My brother is gone, and I'm standing here, surrounded by a mix of genuine grief and a powder keg of unresolved issues. As the service begins, I can't help but think about all the things Andrew and I never got to say. The last time we spoke, he seemed off, like he wanted to tell me something but couldn't find the words. Now, I'll never know what it was. I glance over at Karen again, and this time she's staring right at me. There's a challenge in her eyes, a silent message I can feel in my gut. Whatever's between us, it's not over, and I know that whatever comes next is going to change everything. The funeral service is a blur of tears and whispers. I can't take my eyes off Karen. She keeps fidgeting, her gaze darting around like she's searching for an escape. When she finally stands to speak, her words sound rehearsed, hollow. "Andrew was everything to me," she says, her voice breaking in a way that doesn't quite ring true. "I don't know how I'll go on without him." I have to bite my tongue to keep from scoffing. After the service, we all head back to Andrew and Karen's house. I hang back, watching as Karen flits from person to person, playing the grieving widow with perfect, practiced grace. Moments pass where, when Karen thought no one was looking, her face seemed almost relieved. The weight of it all hit me, and I muttered to Lisa, "I need some air." Slipping away from the crowd, I wandered into Andrew's home office, a place strictly off limits when he was alive, by Karen's rules, not his. "What are you doing in here?" came Karen's voice from the doorway. I spun around, my heart racing as I met her narrow gaze. "Just remembering Andrew," I lied, trying to keep my voice steady. She stepped closer, her perfume cloying in the confined space. "Well, do it somewhere else," she said sharply. "This room is private." She moved to usher me out, but as she did, something on the desk caught my eye. Financial documents, spreadsheets, bank statements, and the numbers. They didn't add up. "Karen," I said slowly, suspicion curling in my gut. "What's going on with Andrew's business accounts?" Her face went white, then flushed with anger. "That's none of your concern." "Get out," she snapped. But I couldn't let it go. The more I looked, the clearer it became. "You've been stealing from him, haven't you?" I said, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. "For years." "You don't know what you're talking about," she hissed, her eyes blazing. "I think I do," I countered. "Does anyone else know? Is this why Andrew was acting so strange before he—" But I didn't get to finish. In a flash, Karen grabbed a heavy crystal vase from the shelf and swung it at me. Pain erupted across my temple, and I staggered back. "You nosy little," she snarled, all pretense gone. "You've always been a thorn in my side. Well, not anymore." She shoved me out of the office, and I stumbled down the hall, my vision blurring. The next thing I knew, I was outside, door slamming behind me. "And don't come back." Karen's voice shrieked from behind the door. "You're not welcome here anymore." I stood there stunned, blood trickling down the side of my face. Guests had started to whisper, their curious glances burning into me. Shame and shock churned in my stomach as I somehow made it to my car, my hands shaking so badly I could barely fit the key into the ignition. I drove on autopilot, ending up at Lisa's place. As soon as I stepped inside, I collapsed into her arms, the events of the day pouring out in choked sobs. I told her everything, the documents, Karen's reaction, the vase. "We need to call the police," Lisa said firmly, leading me to her couch. But I hesitated. "I don't have proof," I said, despair washing over me. "It's my word against hers, and she's the grieving widow. Who's going to believe me?" Lisa's face was grim as she cleaned the cut on my head. "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know," I replied, staring down at my still trembling hands. "But I can't let her get away with this. I think it might be connected to Andrew's death. I need to find out the truth." The next few weeks passed in a whirlwind of sleepless nights and clandestine meetings. Lisa and I turned her apartment into our own little detective agency, fueled by coffee and a burning sense of justice. "Look at this," Lisa said one night, handing me a stack of papers. I did some digging into Karen's background. She's got a whole other life we never knew about. I scanned the documents, my heart sinking. "A previous marriage," I muttered, horrified. She told Andrew she'd never been married before. "That's not all," Lisa continued, her voice grim. "She has multiple fraud complaints against her under her maiden name. This woman's been running cons for years." My stomach churned, and Andrew had never known. We kept digging, piecing together Karen's twisted past. But we needed more, something concrete to connect her to the embezzlement from Andrew's business. That's when, of all people, Tom reached out to me. "Jennifer, we need to talk," he said over the phone, his voice shaky. "About Karen. There's stuff you need to know." We met at a dimly lit bar on the outskirts of town. Tom looked haggard, like he hadn't slept in days. "I can't keep quiet anymore," he blurted out as soon as I sat down. "Karen, she's done terrible things. To Andrew, to you, to so many people." "Tell me everything," I said, leaning in. Tom spilled it all, how Karen had been siphoning money from Andrew's business for years, using it to pay off debts from her previous scams, and how she'd manipulated Tom into helping her cover her tracks. "Andrew found out," Tom said, his voice breaking, "about a month before he died. He confronted her, told her he was going to divorce her and expose everything." My blood ran cold. "And then he suddenly died of a heart attack." Tom nodded, his gaze falling to the floor. "I can't prove anything, but I've always wondered." He reached into his pocket and handed me a USB drive. "This has everything. Bank records, emails, all the evidence of Karen's fraud. I should have come forward sooner. I'm sorry." Over the next few days, Lisa and I worked tirelessly, piecing together an airtight case against Karen. I reached out to some of her previous victims, gathering statements and more evidence of her long history of deceit. One night, as I sorted through some of Andrew's old files, I found something that stopped me cold. A letter, addressed to me, dated just days before his death. "Jennifer," it read, "if you're reading this, something has happened to me. Karen isn't who we thought she was. I've uncovered some terrible things, and I'm afraid of what she might do. I need you to be careful." Tears streamed down my face as I read Andrew's final words to me. "But I also need you to help me expose the truth. You're the only one I can trust. I love you, sis. Stay strong." In that moment, my resolve solidified. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about justice. Justice for Andrew, for all of Karen's victims, and for the truth. I looked at Lisa, my voice steady. We're going to take her down, whatever it takes. The next day, I walked into the family lawyer's office, feeling the weight of everything I'd uncovered pressing down on me. Mr. Johnson, who'd known our family for years, looked up as I entered, his brow furrowing in concern. Jennifer, what's all this about? He asked as I dropped a thick folder onto his desk. It's about Karen, I replied, holding his gaze, and what she did to Andrew. For the next hour, I laid out everything: embezzlement, fraud, her hidden past. With every revelation, Mr. Johnson's face grew grimmer. My God, he whispered when I finished. We need to take this to the authorities immediately. As the investigation unfolded, more of Karen's victims came forward, each with similar stories of manipulation and deceit. The charges against her began to pile up. With her deceptions exposed, control of Andrew's estate and business reverted back to our family. I knew what I had to do. I'm taking over the company, I told my parents one night. Mom looked worried. Are you sure, honey? It's a big responsibility. I nodded, my resolve unwavering. I'm sure. It's what Andrew would have wanted. The transition wasn't easy. The business had suffered under Karen's mismanagement, but I threw myself into the work, determined to honor Andrew's memory. Slowly but surely, things began to turn around. On the 1-year anniversary of Andrew's death, I visited his grave. The autumn leaves crunched under my feet as I approached the headstone. Hey, big bro, I murmured. I got so much to tell you. I told him about the business, how we'd landed a big new client last week, about Mom and Dad and how they were doing better these days. And yes, I told him about Karen, how she wouldn't be hurting anyone else for a long time. A warm breeze rustled through the trees, and for a moment I could almost hear his voice on the wind. Stay strong, sis. I got you. I smiled, touching the headstone one last time before turning to leave. Walking away, I felt lighter, freer. The past year had been a trial, but I'd come through it stronger. Karen was facing justice, the business was thriving, and most importantly, Andrew's memory was honored. Now I've got a question for you. If you discovered a loved one had been stealing from your family, would you turn them in or try to handle it privately? And what if their actions might have indirectly led to someone's death? This is a tough situation with no easy answers, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.